Now heading to Newfoundland, and a community on Newfoundland's northeast coast is hoping rain in today's forecast will bring some relief from a raging wildfire. The out-of-control fire is now burning within a kilometer of the town of Musgrave Harbour, and it is forcing 900 people from the community. We have video that I want to show you now from yesterday, and you can see the thick smoke hovering over the town. It has now grown to 17 square kilometers. The town and nearby Banting Memorial Municipal Park are under a state of emergency, and most of the evacuees are being taken to Gander. That is where the Red Cross has set up a reception center. And Brett Ruskin is watching all this for us from Halifax. Brett.
This morning, hundreds of residents waking up today not in their homes in Musgrave Harbour. They instead had to flee, either staying with friends and family or in hotels in the Gander area. We do have good news in the forecast. We'll get to that in a minute. But talking about this evacuation first, we know that, again, about 900 residents from Musgrave Harbour are now in the Gander area, either registering in person with the Red Cross, or government officials are asking folks to ensure that they do call the Red Cross to share their contact information so that the Red Cross can reach out to them, the government can reach out to them with updates, as well as the possibility and to know who and how many people have been displaced by this fire. So here is one Red Cross official talking about the evacuation.
We're seeing lots of different ways people are coming in. So right now we're going to do a registration inquiry for them if they need needs from the Red Cross, and we're also coordinating registration for them for the Grand Search and Rescue, fire departments, and for the government to find out where people are located, make sure they're in safely while the fire is going out.
Now, speaking of the fire itself, again, 1,700 hectares, about 17 square kilometers in size. There are 4 water bombers in the air able to fight from above. There are fire crews on the ground fighting from below and right at ground level, throwing everything they can at combating this blaze. Now, there is good news in the forecast. A little bit cooler today. The winds seem to be moving, keeping the fire away from town. Even more favorable winds on the way for tomorrow, as well as some significant precipitation as well. So officials will be watching very closely the next 24 hours of conditions on the ground there in that corner of Newfoundland. And the residents who have been evacuated from their homes will continue waiting and watching for the day ahead to see what the conditions bring and how much progress can be made in containing and controlling this out-of-control wildfire in the Musgrave Harbour area. Chris?
All right, Brett Ruskin watching the situation for us there in Halifax. We're watching an out-of-control wildfire raging on Newfoundland's northeast coast. It is now within a kilometer of the town of Musgrave Harbour, and it's forcing 900 people from the community. But there is some optimism. Rain is in the forecast. We have video that I can show you from yesterday showing the thick smoke hovering over the town. It's now grown to 17 square kilometers at last check, and the town and the nearby Banting Memorial Municipal Park are under a state of emergency. Most of the evacuees are being taken to Gander, and that is where the Red Cross has set up a reception center. It's also where the Premier is right now, and we are joined by John Hogan at this minute. John, thank you so much for being on the program with me.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So I have a whole slew of questions here, but I want to get right to the size of the fire because it had grown so dramatically there already. 1 kilometer from the town of Musgrave Harbour. What is the size of the fire now?
Yeah, so the size of the fire, it fortunately, did not grow very much overnight. Obviously, we look for every good sign we can in a situation like this. It's about 1,800 hectares right now. And as you mentioned, at one point yesterday, it was about 2 kilometers from the town and moved to within 1 kilometer. We do have some good weather predictions today, rain in the forecast, but unfortunately, the wind is moving it towards, if it is going to move, it's going to move it towards the town. But the wind is not very strong. It's dying down a little bit. So we are hoping that that rain comes and continues to put out the fire. Lots of water bombers throughout the day on the fire as well. As you said, there's a lot of smoke in the area. That smoke came from a bit of the precipitation last night. We'd certainly rather see the smoke than the fire. So things are moving in the right direction right now, but always got to continue to take these things very seriously and thank the pilots and the staff and everybody doing so much work and the dispatchers to try and keep this fire away from the community. As you said, almost 1,000 residents who were evacuated yesterday. I'm here in Gander right now, and of course, it's no secret to Canadians and to really people around the world. Gander, people have opened their homes and their beds and their kitchens for everybody in the community of Musgrave Harbour to come here, have a safe place to sleep, a warm place to sleep, and meals, of course. We saw how they did that in 9/11. They continue to do it right now, and that's really what Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are known for.
Yeah, beautiful to see that for sure. It is good news also, those conditions that you described there. Do you anticipate that any other towns or areas will have to be evacuated as a result of the fire?
No, this is the only town that was put on an evacuation order a couple of days ago. And then, of course, the evacuation just over 24 hours ago yesterday. We do have another fire burning about 100 kilometers away in a place called Chance Harbour. There's no communities right now that's in jeopardy of being evacuated. But 100 kilometers is not a big distance, so the water bombers and the air assets are going back and forth between the two fires throughout the day and throughout the next couple of days.
It's so tough to have to leave your home because of a natural disaster like this. You just leave everything and you're not sure what's left behind when you go back to it ultimately. Being the fact that you're there in Gander where the evacuees are, how are they doing?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I met with some evacuees this morning. I mean, the Salvation Army and the Canadian Red Cross are just doing an amazing job making sure that people are fed and have somewhere to go. And I met with some people from Musgrave Harbour this morning when they were having their breakfast. And I walked into the room and this gentleman actually had a smile on his face. I said, "How you doing?" He said, "Great. It's just stuff," is what he said. We referred to his house and all the contents in his house. And I think that really does sum up these situations. It is just stuff. People's lives are obviously the most important thing. We want everybody to be safe. That's why we issue the evacuation order as a precaution to make sure that lives aren't lost. We can replace homes, we can replace stuff, but we can't replace human lives. So people, even though it's a stressful situation, they don't know when or if they're going to be able to return to their town. The fact that they're somewhere safe right now is the most important thing, and we're there to support them.
Yeah, Premier, that is such an important point. But as far as structures and buildings go, have any been destroyed or impacted by the blaze yet?
No structures impacted in the area of Musgrave Harbour. There were some cabins that were lost a few days ago with regard to the Chance Harbour fire, but there's no communities in jeopardy right now with that fire, as I said. So we continue to keep an eye on it. As I said, the rain is supposed to be coming. We've been very fortunate over the last few years. I know that the fires are just popping up across the country like we've never seen before. The information I had from staff this morning was that this is just the length of time that these conditions are continuing to maintain for throughout the province is really unprecedented. And we just need to continue to keep our eye on it and make sure that people continue to be safe in these situations.
Well, and unprecedented is certainly the word of the moment, not just in your province, but in Manitoba as well. We know that the situation there is incredibly dire. A state of emergency continues to be in place in Manitoba. And today there is going to be this meeting with the premiers in Ontario, in Huntsville. Obviously, you're not able to attend that meeting today because you're there dealing with the quite urgent situation of wildfire situation there in Newfoundland. But I know that wildfires are certainly on the minds of the premiers who are meeting today. So what are you hoping that they're talking about in terms of wildfire prevention, management, and response?
Yeah, so I do look forward to, I'll be getting a flight from Gander to Ontario later this afternoon to join those meetings with the premiers and with the Prime Minister on Tuesday and Wednesday, and look forward to those discussions. There's lots of items to discuss. The last time we had a First Minister's meeting, of course, I know Premier Moe and Premier Canoe were dealing with fires raging in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, and as you said, those continue to be an issue. There are Indigenous meetings today, which are very important. It's unfortunate for me that I couldn't be there, but you can't be in two places at once. I thought it was important to be here in this part of the province as people are stressed and worried about their personal situation. But I do look forward to getting to Huntsville later on today and to having those discussions with the Prime Minister and fellow premiers about all kinds of issues that are facing not only Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, but Canadians. And that includes the environment, it includes things like wildfires. That includes things like trade. And of course, a big topic, which we talked about in Saskatchewan at our last set of meetings, was nation building projects. So it's important for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians to have their voice at that table over the next couple of days.
Yeah, nation building projects is certainly one, and Canada's response to this ongoing threat from the United States with this August 1st deadline now rapidly approaching. So what other priority do you have for this meeting that's happening today and then obviously tomorrow when you and the other premiers meet with the Prime Minister directly?
Yeah, so we look forward tomorrow to getting an update from Prime Minister Carney about the negotiations that are ongoing with President Trump and the Americans on that situation. Of course, from a Newfoundland and Labrador perspective, we want to make sure that any trade deals that are made are not going to negatively impact Newfoundland and Labrador. And as I mentioned, the nation building projects are very important to our province. I mean, we feel that we have projects here in our province that really can and will contribute to the entire country and the economics of the entire country. I mean, the most important project right now is the Churchill Falls project. Hydro-Quebec has a deal with Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro to continue to develop the Churchill River. Newfoundland and Labrador has a long, painful history of unfortunate projects on that river. And this is one that can really finally deliver on the positive impacts and the positive opportunities that offers Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. And to have a deal where there's really been a lot of tension between the province of Quebec and our province here in Newfoundland and Labrador over the last 50, 60 years, to see those two provinces come together to get this deal done for the good of Quebec, the good of Newfoundland and Labrador, and really the good of all of Canada, I think really shows how we can move forward as a country.
Well, and we know, of course, that internal trade is a big part of the meetings that are happening right now and behind the scenes as well. I was speaking with an expert in internal and interprovincial trade earlier this morning on the program, and he was telling me that even though there was this federal law now in effect bringing down some of those barriers, a lot of the situation still remains in effect, and those barriers still remain up because the provinces have to make changes and change regulations as well. So where does Newfoundland stand on that front in reducing the internal trade barriers that exist between Newfoundland and other provinces?
Yeah, so we're supportive of reducing any trade barriers when it's going to certainly benefit Newfoundland and Labrador, and happy to work with all provinces and with the federal government to increase trade opportunities throughout the country. But we do have to keep in mind Newfoundland and Labrador may have some special circumstances where we need to make sure we protect our workers. Think about, our brewing industry is a very important one. Our fishing industry is very important as well. So we can't just jump at this and reduce all trade barriers without thinking about any potential negative consequences. So I think these meetings in Huntsville is a good opportunity to have those conversations with the premiers and with the Prime Minister about where those opportunities exist for our province here at home.
All right, Premier. Well, we covered a lot of ground, and I appreciate you taking some time out of dealing with quite an urgent situation there in your province. Thank you for being on the program with us this morning.
Thanks. And I just want to say thanks again for everybody doing the great job, dangerous work, keeping everybody safe and fighting those forest fires. It's very important work.
Thank you for that final thought. Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, John Hogan, joining us this morning in Gander.